A world begins before any story breathes. Imagine realms that feel truly alive everywhere. World building shapes every epic fantasy experience deeply readers crave. Worlds that feel authentic and immersive. Every detail strengthens emotional connection with readers. Fantasy worlds require careful, thoughtful, consistent design. Great stories rely on believable structured universes. World building transforms simple tales into legends. Readers escape reality through vivid crafted worlds. Strong settings give meaning to heroic journeys. Magic systems must follow. Consistent internal logic. Cities and kingdoms enrich narrative depth greatly. Maps help readers visualize fictional territories. Clearly, history adds weight to fictional world events. Cultures shape character behavior and motivations deeply. Languages enhance realism within fantasy. Storytelling worlds, world rules. Define what is possible. Impossible? Consistency prevents reader confusion and narrative breaks. Epic fantasy thrives on layered world complexity. Strong world building supports unforgettable character development arcs. Readers trust worlds that remain logically consistent. Immersive settings make stories emotionally impactful. Every continent adds scale and narrative. Wonder. Fantasy worlds evolve alongside character growth journeys. Strong lore deepens. Reader engagement significantly. Mythology gives ancient depth to fictional universes. World building allows endless storytelling possibilities. Expansion. Conflict feels real within structured fantasy worlds. Detailed geography enhances adventure. Storytelling. Richness. Readers appreciate carefully crafted, believable environments. World building establishes emotional stakes for characters. Fantasy. Authors create meaning through detailed settings. Every culture influences story direction. Uniquely, world depth determines story immersion, quality. Readers explore worlds like living, breathing entities. Great fantasy worlds invite repeated reader exploration. Consistency strengthens trust between author and reader. World building influences plot direction and pacing. Fantasy worlds require imaginative, disciplined creation. Detailed environments support stronger emotional storytelling. Every landmark tells part of history. World building gives stories lasting cultural impact. Readers connect deeply with structured fantasy worlds. Immersion depends on believable world consistency. Strong fantasy worlds feel endlessly explorable. Magic systems define boundaries of storytelling. World building creates powerful emotional narrative. Resonance. Fantasy worlds reflect imagination and creativity. Readers remember worlds more than plots. Detailed lore enhances story believability. Greatly, world building supports long-running epic sagas. Every kingdom has unique political structure. World building defines the hero journey context. Fantasy. Immersion grows with detailed environments. Readers feel present within crafted worlds. World building requires patience and creative vision. Strong settings elevate every narrative moment. Fantasy authors build worlds from imagination. World depth influences reader emotional response. Every story world carries hidden mysteries. World building shapes reader perception of reality. Fantasy worlds demand careful, consistent planning. Immersive worlds enhance storytelling. Emotional depth. Readers enjoy discovering hidden world details. World building creates foundation for epic storytelling. Fantasy settings inspire reader imagination greatly. World structure determines narrative flow. Strength. Every world element adds storytelling. Richness. World building connects characters with their environment. Fantasy worlds evolve through storytelling layers. Readers appreciate depth in fictional worlds. World building transforms ideas into living stories. Strong lore builds unforgettable fantasy universes. Every detail strengthens overall narrative impact. A well-built world never fades away. World building expands beyond simple fantasy imagination. Magic systems define story internal structure. Political systems create conflict and tension. Kingdom alliances shape epic narrative direction. Geography influences character travel and danger. Religion adds depth to fictional cultures. Economies make worlds feel realistic and alive. World history creates meaningful story foundations. Ancient wars shape present narrative conflicts. Heroes emerge from structured, believable environments. Villains gain depth through world context. Cultures influence language and social behavior. Magic rules maintain consistency across stories. World building prevents storytelling contradictions and confusion. Detailed maps guide reader imagination effectively. Forests and deserts add environmental diversity. Oceans expand adventure possibilities and mysteries. Mountains create barriers and dramatic tension. Cities reflect cultural identity and power. World lore builds emotional reader investment. Ancient artifacts enrich storytelling complexity deeply. Prophecies drive narrative suspense and curiosity. World building connects all story elements seamlessly. Legends inspire characters and plot direction. Time periods influence world development stages. Creatures enrich fantasy ecosystems and realism. Dragons symbolize power within fantasy worlds. World building enhances emotional story immersion deeply. Readers explore worlds with growing fascination. Every region adds unique storytelling opportunities. Conflict arises naturally from world structures. World building ensures consistent character motivations always. Fantasy worlds reflect human imagination power. Strong settings support complex narrative arcs. World building makes fantasy worlds feel believable. Ancient ruins hide forgotten story secrets. Maps inspire exploration and reader curiosity. World building strengthens long-term storytelling impact. Fantasy kingdoms reflect political imagination deeply. Every culture shapes unique narrative voice. World building creates immersive and rich reading experiences. Story depth increases with detailed settings. Magic limitations prevent narrative inconsistencies effectively. Fantasy worlds evolve through character actions. World building encourages strong reader emotional attachment. History gives weight to fictional events. World building enriches every narrative turning point. Fantasy worlds feel alive with detail. Readers remember worlds beyond simple plots. World building supports powerful emotional storytelling depth. Every detail contributes to narrative immersion. Fantasy landscapes shape story atmosphere greatly. World building defines rules of existence clearly. Characters grow within structured world systems. World building fuels imagination and creative storytelling. Fantasy worlds require logical internal coherence. Readers engage deeper with rich settings. World building connects myths and present events. Epic stories rely on detailed universes. World building shapes powerful reader emotional journey. Fantasy depth depends on consistent design. Worlds become characters within epic narratives. World building creates unforgettable, immersive storytelling experiences. Readers discover meaning through world exploration. Fantasy worlds require structured imaginative planning. World building enhances overall plot credibility significantly. Every story element depends on world. World building shapes entire epic fantasy identity. Readers immerse fully in detailed worlds. Fantasy storytelling grows through world expansion. World building transforms imagination into vivid reality. Strong worlds enhance narrative emotional impact. Epic fantasy depends on world depth. World building creates powerful, lasting reader memories. Without world building, fantasy loses true magic. World building continues shaping deeper fantasy, meaning forgotten realms hold untold ancient secrets. Every storyteller expands worlds with imagination. Hidden kingdoms emerge through layered lore. World building strengthens emotional reader investment deeply. Legends evolve across generations of storytelling. Ancient magic systems demand strict consistency. Rules. Every culture shapes narrative. Emotional resonance. World building inspires endless creative storytelling paths. Fictional history connects present to past events. Great fantasy relies on detailed environments. Always, worlds feel real through consistent internal logic. Maps guide readers through epic adventures. Visually, world building gives depth to heroic journeys. Mystical creatures enrich fantasy world ecosystems greatly. Every kingdom has unique cultural identity. Traits. World building defines rules that govern magic use. Ancient ruins tell stories without spoken words. Fantasy worlds expand beyond single narrative boundaries. World building enhances reader imagination and curiosity. Political struggles emerge naturally within structured worlds. Magic systems require balance and clear limitations. World building creates emotional depth in storytelling. Fantasy. Authors design worlds with careful precision. Every region contributes to story complexity. Growth. World building transforms imagination into structured reality. Epic fantasy thrives on interconnected world systems. Cultural diversity enriches fictional storytelling environments. Greatly world building supports long-lasting narrative immersion. Characters grow through interaction with world elements. Fantasy, worlds reflect deep human creativity. Expression. World building ensures coherence across multiple storylines. Ancient prophecies guide heroic destiny paths forward. Readers discover meaning through layered world details. World building enhances emotional storytelling. Engagement deeply. Fantasy ecosystems require balanced imaginative structure. Design. World building creates sense of living, breathing universe. Every myth strengthens world narrative foundation. Further worlds evolve alongside character. Development arcs. Naturally, world building defines emotional tone of storytelling. Fantasy realms inspire wonder and deep curiosity. Story worlds become characters within narratives themselves. World building strengthens reader connection to story. Ancient civilizations shape modern fantasy conflicts. Strongly, world building supports immersive storytelling across genres. Fantasy landscapes influence emotional narrative atmosphere greatly. World building ensures storytelling, depth, and authenticity. Readers engage deeply with structured fantasy environments. World building allows limitless creative narrative expansion. Magic systems define boundaries of possibility. Clearly, world building creates immersive storytelling. Emotional resonance. Fantasy worlds depend on structured logical consistency. Every detail strengthens fictional world. Authenticity. World building shapes unforgettable, epic storytelling experiences. Readers travel through imagination into crafted worlds. World building provides foundation for epic narratives. Fantasy stories gain depth through world structure. World building connects emotional stakes with environment. Complex worlds create richer storytelling experiences. World building fuels imagination across generations of readers. Fantasy universes thrive on consistent, detailed design. World building enriches every narrative storytelling moment. Readers lose themselves within carefully built worlds. World building turns fiction into immersive experience. Every story world carries unique emotional identity. Fantasy. Depth emerges from detailed world creation. World building shapes, narrative pace, and direction. Epic fantasy depends on layered world architecture. Readers experience wonder through world exploration. Journeys. World building gives meaning to fictional existence. Fantasy. Storytelling grows stronger with world depth. Every world element enhances narrative engagement significantly. World building ensures fantasy feels real and alive. Readers remember worlds long after stories end. Strong world building defines epic fantasy to greatness. Truly, world building leaves lasting impact on readers. Epic fantasy. Worlds inspire lifelong imagination. Growth. Strong worlds elevate storytelling beyond ordinary limits. Readers remember worlds more than characters. Often, world building creates emotional attachment to fiction. Every fantasy universe carries unique identity. Worlds built with care feel truly real. Final details. Complete. Immersive storytelling experiences. World building connects imagination with structured storytelling. Epic fantasy depends on deep world foundation. Readers explore worlds like personal journeys. World building transforms stories into living experiences. Every culture adds richness to narrative depth. Fantasy, worlds, shape emotional reader reactions. Strongly, world building ensures continuity across long narratives. Strong settings enhance plot, emotional intensity. Worlds feel complete through consistent design principles. World building inspires future generations of storytellers. Fantasy, landscapes remain in reader memory forever. Every story gains strength through world depth. World building defines rules of fictional existence. Readers immerse themselves in crafted environments. Fully, fantasy worlds evolve beyond original creator vision. World building shapes storytelling legacy over time. Epic fantasy becomes timeless through world detail. Worlds, built carefully, support endless storytelling. Expansion. World building gives meaning to fictional conflicts. Readers feel emotionally connected to fictional realms. Strong worlds encourage deeper narrative exploration. World building creates unforgettable storytelling. Atmosphere, fantasy, universes thrive on imaginative structure. Design. Every setting influences character. Emotional development. World building enhances narrative tension and suspense. Readers journey through worlds with curiosity. Fantasy. Worlds become symbols of imagination. Power. World building ensures story coherence and clarity. Every region contributes to epic narrative scale. Worlds feel alive through detailed construction. World building supports powerful emotional storytelling. Arcs. Fantasy environments shape reader perception deeply. Worlds built with logic feel believable, always. World building strengthens connection between story elements. Readers discover meaning within structured fantasy worlds. Epic fantasy relies on immersive world depth. World building expands storytelling possibilities endlessly forward. Fantasy worlds reflect creativity and vision. Every detail adds strength to narrative immersion. World building defines emotional tone of stories. Readers experience wonder through crafted fantasy realms. Strong worlds enhance reader engagement significantly. World building turns ideas into living universes. Fantasy storytelling grows through detailed world layers. Every world element shapes narrative identity. Strongly. World building creates unforgettable epic fantasy journeys. Readers lose themselves in immersive world design. Fantasy universes depend on structured world rules. World building ensures meaningful storytelling experiences. Always strong worlds make stories emotionally powerful. Every narrative detail depends on world structure. World building enhances depth of fictional storytelling. Fantasy worlds inspire creativity across generations. Readers connect deeply with immersive environments. World-building shapes epic fantasy. Storytelling, success. Every story gains life through world creation. Fantasy. Worlds remain memorable through rich detail. World building builds bridges between imagination and reality. Readers experience stories as living worlds. Strong world design enhances narrative credibility. Greatly, world building defines essence of epic fantasy. Fantasy storytelling relies on structured imaginative worlds. Every world carries unique emotional storytelling power. World building ensures lasting impact on audiences. Readers return to worlds again and again. Fantasy universes live through detailed world building. Without world building, epic fantasy cannot exist.